My deep appreciation of theater history was instilled in me by Tom Empey, a college mentor to me and hundreds, if not thousands of others. While teaching Greek theater terms, he would grab the fabric of his slacks and say,
"You see these pants? Euripides, Eumenides,"
making light of content that could be considered rather dry and stuffy while still maintaining respect for the art, which is what I want to do with this podcast. For each episode, I invite a guest from the many paths my theater career has taken me down. I give my guests no idea what we'll be talking about, but they know we're going to find an outrageous story about theater history and perhaps get a better understanding about why we're still doing it after all these years. So, welcome to Euripides Eumenides, and I am your host, Aaron Odom.
Apocalypse, apocalypse, I said, why you want to show up now? Just when the heart of my life was getting good. I'll give you one more chance. Walk on out of the door, yeah. Get your ass to getting where the getting is good.
Good morrow, Eumenidites, or good e'en, whichever it may be for you. This is Aaron Odom from Trident Theatre, bringing you another episode of Euripides Eumenides, a theater history podcast. I have a really special guest on the show for this episode, one of my oldest friends in theater, Natalie Lander. I haven't had Natalie on the show since episode 12, and I'm actually quite impressed that I was able to get her on the show again, because right now her career is really active and her schedule is pretty full. Last time Natalie was on the show was very near after COVID shutdowns, and acting work was pretty scant. So I'm really happy to see my friend getting a lot of work again. She's really worth it. Natalie has done all kinds of things, from on-screen recurring roles in sitcoms to voice acting roles for TV shows and video games, and several roles on the big screen as well. Just to name a few, she was one of the cheerleaders on the long-running ABC sitcom The Middle. In the video game world, she has lent her voice to characters in the Final Fantasy series, the God of War series, and a recurring character on the Saints Row series. In animation, she was the title character of Goldie in the kids' show Goldie and Bear for Disney. She's appeared in multiple superhero animations like Spider-Man and Justice League Action. She also appeared in the Animaniacs reboot on Hulu. Natalie was also a contestant on MTV's Legally Blonde: The Search for Elle Woods reality competition, in which the winner got to take over for Laura Bell Bundy as the second Elle Woods on Broadway ever. Sadly, Natalie came in fifth. I think she was robbed. Honestly, her singing so much better, that great song, just blew my socks off. That should have won the competition right there. You go look it up on YouTube, please. I'm sure you'll feel the same. But she turned that story of not winning that competition into her own one-person musical autobiography called Legally Brunette. The show sold out both of its limited runs at the Gary Marshall Theater in LA and 54 Below in New York. But most recently, as of this recording, Natalie just wrapped filming an independent horror comedy called Horrified, along with big names like Julie Benz, Ron Perlman, and Busy Phillips. So keep your eyes open for that. But one claim to fame that Natalie has is that she belongs to a fairly long line of Hollywood performers. Most notably, she is the daughter of the late David Lander, one of Hollywood's most recognizable character actors. Most people would know David in his recurring role as Squiggy on the sitcom Laverne and Shirley, which led to lots of on-screen acting roles and voice acting roles throughout his lifetime. You probably have seen him or heard him in a lot of other things. We talk a little bit right at the beginning of the episode about some of David's accomplishments, but I really mostly knew him from the times I got to hang out with him in person and just knew him as my friend Natalie's dad. So anyway, back to this episode. As you can probably guess, I'm pretty fortunate to have Natalie as a guest again, especially for this topic. I knew she would be able to add some really fascinating perspective on just what it means to be a female actor today. So, being able to walk in the shoes of another female actor from over 150 years ago was a truly fun journey to go on with Natalie. So, without further ado, here is episode 8 of season 2, Mazeppa and Adah Isaacs Menken. Well, Natalie, it's just awesome to have you back on the show. Thank you so much for taking your time. I know your time is short and precious here, so I just want to get right into the whole thing here, okay?
Okay, I'm scared.
No, don't be scared. Don't be scared. This is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be awesome. And
Oh, wait, I have to tell you something. Sorry,
Okay, all right.
we have precious time, but I did have an anxiety dream about this last night.
Oh no.
I had a dream that we were doing this live in front of 1,000 people.
I would kill to do this live with you in front of 1,000 people.
So maybe we're manifesting, I don't know, but I was like, I showed up and I was like, Aaron, you didn't tell me it would be 1,000 people. And I was like, what's happening? So anyway.
And I'm sitting there going, yeah, it sucks. I mean, we have 1,500 seats in this auditorium.
Exactly.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So to put you at ease a little bit, this is just a little bit of a quiz, not a huge that puts people at ease, a pop quiz. No, this is an easy one. Okay. Natalie, name me an actor that you can think of who is famous for playing only one role. Okay. Now they might have played others, some to greater or lesser success, but like the one role is what everyone remembers him for.
Well, I feel like my answer might be a little obvious.
Okay, let's go for it.
I mean, I would like to say my dad, David Lander.
Yes. No,
who played Swiggy on Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're not wrong. Like everybody sees him in, he's that guy that was in that thing. And then they go, oh yeah, that's Squiggy.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, that was his iconic role of his career. I mean, he worked a ton after that, but that was like what he was known for. People would even ask me, is he really like that? Because they couldn't imagine him as anyone else. I was like, a little bit.
Yeah. And I got to know him a little bit while we were in college. That was kind of cool. I was really into baseball at the time. And, I was able to like talk shop just a little bit. And I didn't know what Pandora's box I was opening by doing that because he could talk the talk. It was crazy.
Yeah. And if you liked baseball and maybe smoking a little weed, like you were in.
Oh man. Now wait a minute. What were you telling me the other day? We were talking about getting this set up and I was saying like, oh, I'm going to Jaws with my boys. It just got re-released for the 50th anniversary. He had something to do with that.
Yes. So this is like a weird little fun fact Easter egg thing. But my dad was in a loop group or did ADR. And for those who don't know, that's when, you're watching a movie and you hear crowd voices. They bring in a group of actors to do all the walla of the crowd and the people, like the background people. Like
Yeah.
So my dad was in a loop group for Jaws and did ADR for the whole movie, but the first voice you hear in that first shot where it's like there's a boat, right?
They're going on the beach. They're like getting down to the beach. Yeah, okay.
I gotta listen to it, and you can hear in the very far distance the first voice you hear is my dad's voice. And if you listen to it, like if you like go back, rewind, turn the volume way up, you're like, oh yeah, that's David.
That's David Lander. And I've had to remind my boys that several times. I'm like, you guys probably know him as the voice of the weasel in Roger Rabbit, like the head weasel. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's awesome. Okay. You're not wrong. That is a great example. The example I'm going to share with you today is a little more scandalous.
Okay.
So, I think I'm going to begin. We're going to go back to the middle of the 19th century. Okay. And we are going to talk about touring shows.
Oh,
okay.
Fun.
Now, in the 19th century, technological advances in the United States helped the art of theater give audiences a more intimate experience of theater, as well as making the art of theater available to audiences across the nation rather than just large cities. So certainly smaller companies existed across the country and did shows for their communities, but more professional shows, like stuff you might see in bigger houses in bigger cities, they were becoming something that could be seen in more places too. As far as technology making performances more of an intimate experience, we can thank the advance of stage lighting technologies, such as the use of gas lights, making the performance easier to see, or, add dramatic effect by dimming the lights or something like that, because you could actually do that instead of like with candlelight. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. But the railroad actually helped actors in shows that had more often just been read about in newspapers. Like I I didn't get to Broadway for the first time until 2019. I mean, I live in this little rural town in Wyoming, and that was just like, oh, maybe someday, right?
Yeah. What was your first show?
My first show was Tootsie.
Oh, I didn't see that one, but I heard it was great.
Oh, it had moments. I really enjoyed it. There were some great performances in it. But yeah, that was my first show, and I will never forget it. Never
Aw.
forget it. Mhm. And then 2 days later, Santina Fontana, who played Tootsie, came to a workshop that I was attending, and so it was like so cool to like sit like 20 feet from him and be like, "I just saw you." It was so cool.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, the railroad got stuff out, so people could actually see the stuff that they just read about in newspapers and by hearsay and stuff, right? Now, one of the effects of this new buzz of theater shows coming to new locations was the spread of actor celebrity.
Mm.
So, we're talking about people we've never heard of. We don't even know what they look like.
Right. I bet they had some great names too. Do they have like funny names?
Oh,
Like,
they have I'm going to go over several here that, yes. Okay. Now, when you read about these things, it's more specifically about a certain famous actor who might be coming to town after getting some fan base. But now that he's coming back and he's got to be playing this big role or that big role in Shakespeare or something like that. Sometimes, though, an actor would become famous for playing one specific role, or even more specifically, one feat that the actor would do during the show. So I don't know. This isn't an actual example, but let's say your actor was a fire eater or something like that, and at the end of the play, Hamlet is standing there and everybody's dead around him, and he puts a flame in his mouth and extinguishes it, and that's how he dies. I don't know. That's just an example. So here's a couple I can think of off the top of my head with a very infamous connection. Junius Brutus Booth and his son Edwin Booth.
okay.
They were probably two of the most famous Shakespearean actors of the day.
So
They
maybe
played
the Booth who killed Abraham Lincoln?
precisely. Precisely. But yeah, Edwin and his father Junius would travel the country playing like King Lear, the title character in the Scottish play, just all the big Shakespeare roles, right? Another one I can think of is Laura Keene. This was the focus of my episode number 6. She's probably the first famous female producer and actor. She toured with the play My American Cousin for years. And this is something that she had commissioned to have written. That stopped playing on April 14th, 1865, when she played it at Ford's Theater the night Lincoln was shot.
Oh, I guess I would say like you'd end a career that night. You'd be like, I'm done.
Should we keep going?
I think it's a sign.
There might be some legs. I don't know.
Yeah. One show I recently saw in New York was Oh Mary, which is
Oh, yeah.
untold story of Abraham Lincoln's wife, Mary Todd Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
And it explains in her worldview the night of that performance, which is
wow.
hysterical. Highly recommend it.
Well, that's that classic joke still, too, that people will ask about, when something might not be a great show and you go talk to the director after it and you say, yes, but Mrs. Lincoln, what did you think of the play?
That's funny.
I love that joke.
It's a good one.
Now, there is one celebrity actor and one specific production that I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the actor named Adah Isaacs Menken?
I have not.
Oh, she is something. Oh my gosh, Natalie, this is going to be fun. Okay. Now, while Adah has a decent amount of credits to her name, and by the way, I was going to mention, if people go and look you up, I don't think they understand like the work you have had to put into your career and how you've had to get all of these roles and everything, but you have a substantial amount of credits that any working actor would be envious to have.
It's a lot of junk.
But it's still, all of those are a paycheck.
That's
and
true.
One of the classic tenets of acting is like when you're not working, you're unemployed. Like if you don't have a gig, then you are out of work. So, and the space between those things can be pretty short or pretty big. So there are a lot of people out there who are just getting this little job and that little job and this little job just to keep going and keep doing things. And, all that's doing is like increasing your network and, getting more stuff for, your reels and stuff to be able to put more stuff out there. And I gotta say, you got quite the biz going on. That's pretty awesome.
Aw, thanks. It helps to put it in perspective like that. Cause
oh yeah,
in it, you're like, you think like, oh, I didn't quite get the thing that's the this and the that. And,
right.
But thank you.
Sure.
This isn't about me. This is about, what's her name? I forgot.
Adah Isaacs Menken. You're right. Anyway, it was her performance in a play called Mazeppa. We're going to be saying that a lot today. Mazeppa, that made Adah a national and sometimes international sensation. So, where to start? I guess we'll start with a short synopsis of Mazeppa, as it's something of a tale that in America has kind of fallen into obscurity. But throughout the 19th century, the tale was told countless times by countless artists in several different media: poetry, paintings, short stories, classical music compositions, even operas, and yes, plays. So
wait, now does this have any relation to Miss Mazeppa in Gypsy?
I have no idea. Probably. I'm not really
one of the strippers.
Yeah.
Trumpet.
Okay, so after this, you can tell me whether or not there's a strong connection, because I'm going to tell you kind of the little legend of Mazeppa here in a little bit. But like telling stories of this way reminds me a lot of how like repertory in British Renaissance theaters worked, like in which a popular story might be told by one theater 1 month, and then a lot of people saw it and they thought it was really great. So a theater down the street thinks, you know what, I can make improvements on that story, and I'm just going to write my own. So this is why a lot of people are like, well, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. And I'm like, yeah, he wrote it based on something he saw like a few years earlier at another theater just down the road. So that's kind of how Mazeppa worked. Like there was a lot of stuff. I think about it, like think about the number of times like Robin Hood has been told in the multitude of ways. It's like, let's just single it out on screen, In film, Robin Hood has been told by so many people in so many different ways and so many different methods, but it keeps getting told and we all go. Right. Yeah. So basically, this is like a tale of folklore from another country that we just kind of went, oh, I like that story, especially at the time it was told. The true story of Mazeppa is about a military officer named Ivan. No, it's probably Ivan. Yeah. Ivan Mazeppa, who lived from 1639 to 1709. His military career includes fighting in the Ukrainian War of Independence from Russia.
Oh, relevant today.
It's not timely at all. At another point in his career, though, Mazeppa served as a page in the court of the King of Poland and left to return home in 1663. But history has several theories as to why. Could have been his time was up, or it could have been something more scandalous. In fact, the reason for him leaving is actually one of the more hotly debated cultural differences between Ukraine and Russia. It'd be like telling Goldilocks and somebody says, yeah, and so she was staying with the three wolves, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, no.
The bears, yeah.
Right? So most claim that the story of Mazeppa circles around his brashness in the court in seducing the beautiful Countess Teresa, whose husband, the Count, was much older and no longer pleasurable to the Countess.
Oh my goodness.
So here's hot young military man, right? Yeah, okay. Some accounts suggest that the Count discovered the affair and had Mazeppa subdued and held hostage. As punishment for seducing his wife, because, she had nothing to do with it. She's a woman. She's, as bendable as a blade of grass, apparently. Mm-hmm. So as punishment, the Count had Mazeppa stripped naked and laid on a horse backwards with his hands tied behind him around the horse's neck. So he's basically like his shoulders are on the horse's neck and his legs are just kind of striding down the horse's sides, but he's tied around the horse's front. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The horse would then be spurred on by Mazeppa's subduers to be sent into the wild, where any manner of perils and in the wild might befall the helpless rider. So, like the horse could run by a whole bunch of pine trees and get you all scratched up or something like that. Or, a pack of wolves could come out of nowhere and chase the horse around. And it's all terrifying and everything. Some stories, such as this play, had the horse driven up a mountain and off a cliff while Mazeppa was still on the horse's back.
Oh, wow. What a way to go.
Uh-huh. Gloriously. He evidently made it out alive, but left the Polish court soon after.
I would go too, yeah.
That's another, I don't know, should I stick around? I don't know, they've been kind of assholes here. Yeah. So, okay, that's basically the story of Mazeppa, whether it's historically accurate or not. He was a real person. What's disputed is some of the major facts of his life.
Interesting.
But here's where you might be able to tell me if this is like Miss Mazeppa. Okay. As a side note, he seems to basically be written as a very untrustworthy villain. Okay. And I think this is more on one side of the debate than other, obviously. He's been known as a monumental traitor, switching sides before key battles. He's also been known as someone who had a plot to overthrow Ukraine to make it a kingdom and appoint himself as monarch.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So,
you sound like a great guy.
No. You're like, okay, I don't. Yeah. So whether or not he's done any of these things, one thing I did find out that's a lasting legacy of the story of Mazeppa is that his, air quotes, ride became a very popular method for people to haze other people or to punish them for wrongdoings. Strap them to a horse naked and send them off to their fate.
Oh my God. So trendsetter.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I mean, Miss Mazeppa was a stripper.
Uh-huh.
So she definitely would strip.
So she's got a seedy reputation.
And she wore a really like a ponytail, like a horse ponytail. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she plays the trumpet, sort of like military-esque.
That could be.
I feel like it's I feel like they definitely are. It's like an Easter egg in Gypsy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that again. I don't know that I've ever really been familiar with that show. No. Now, of course, this is how Mazeppa is portrayed in history.
Okay.
But this play, a fairly forgettable play, was supposed to be adapted from a Lord Byron poem. And I read a little bit of it, and I'm like, okay, this is just all fancy and flowery like Lord Byron likes to be. And the play had many creative changes added. But what got nationwide fame or notoriety was basically for one specific element. And this is where Adah Isaacs Menken enters the picture.
Oh.
During the 1860s, she had become quite the celebrity in her own right. She was also quite a scandalous socialite due to several factors. Adah was known to be quite outspoken in her beliefs, particularly in her Jewish faith, which she really only seemed to establish while married to her first husband. Even though I think she was actually born of Jewish heritage, she never really latched onto it until she had this husband. And
he was Jewish.
Yep.
So she doubled down. Okay, got it.
Yep. So this guy's name was Alexander Isaac Menken, and that's whose name she would take. I can't remember what her maiden name was. It was. I'll talk about why it's kind of gray about her past here in a little bit, but this is the name she would take, and this is the name she would attach to her celebrity, Adah Isaacs Menken. And his name was actually Alexander Isaac Menken, so I don't know where the S came from in Isaacs. I think she just liked it.
It had a ring. It looked good on a marquee.
Right. It's hard to go from that hard C to an M. If you go from an S, it's sexier in a way, right?
It rolls off the tongue better.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh, at certain points in her life, Ada really wanted to be known more for her poetry. She had been published multiple times in magazines and newspapers, but never had a full book of her poetry published until after her death. And this book was dedicated to Charles Dickens, who became her friend when she traveled in London.
Wow.
So yeah, this is how big her celebrity got.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it's kind of funny. I wanted to tell this story real quick. Some of the poems that she would write were actually serials. So if you wanted to get the next chapter, you'd have to buy the paper the next day or the next week or something like that. And they basically all told the story of this woman going through heartbreak, which Ada probably was at the time. And I think people who were literate just kind of enjoyed, you know, a little more of like the seedier side of life that they could live. Like this woman is living kind of recklessly and
Right.
you know, a little risk, taking some risks, but also it's a great adventure. And yeah.
That's so interesting.
I mean,
so
people are eating this stuff up. Here's another factor of her scandal. Ada was also known as someone who would buck the traditions of decorum for young women by wearing pants.
No.
Gasp. Smoking cigarettes.
Wow.
And occasionally cutting her hair short like a man's.
Wow. She was a rebel.
1860s. Yeah. But Ada was mainly known as being a notorious flirt with her fan base, which was made even worse by rumors of infidelity, which partly led to her divorce from Alexander Isaac Menken, as she had been seeing a famous boxer named Johnny Heenan right before they split up. She ended up, I think, having 4 marriages in her lifetime.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Girl gone around.
Yeah, she's like a Kardashian.
I know. I always loved, I don't watch those shows, but I always love seeing clips from them, like in TikToks or, you know, Instagram reels. And they're like crying about some plight that they're having. And I'm like, seriously, what is it today? Like,
I know.
Your shoes got scuffed. This NBA star wouldn't text you back. I don't know.
I know. They really, but they're like a weird cursed family. I'm very curious to, when someone's doing a podcast like yours, in 200 years from now, and they're going to do one about the Kardashians and like the family with the Robert Kardashian and the mugging in Paris by gunpoint, and you know what I mean, like Lamar Odom, OD. I don't know, it's crazy. Anyway,
and then the whole Kanye era,
exactly.
Oh my God. I was actually just talking to Andrea, the woman who walks beside me, about that the other night, and we had forgotten, or I had forgotten, that the dad was one of OJ's lawyers in his infamous trial. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, if that doesn't curse a family right away. Right?
I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
And he died of like esophageal cancer a couple of years later or something like that.
Yeah, like really fast too.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Okay, so back to Ada. Now, as her fame grew in the 1850s and 1860s, when asked about her early life, she would give multiple origin stories.
Oh.
Like at some points, it was like, I was born in France, or I was born in New Orleans, which is actually where she ended up growing up. But she'd tell people that like her father was like a famous nobleman, or she had, some connections here, there, and everywhere. It turns out her father was actually just a freed black man in the South. And
really?
Yeah, he died like 6 months after she was born. So
is half black?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, actually, probably less than that, because her mother was half black, half white.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. I'll see if I can show you a picture here of Ada later. It's, oh my God. I think it was either she honestly couldn't keep him straight, because when people would ask, she would just make it up on the spot, or she was just increasing her mystique. And
that reminds me of Hilaria Baldwin. Do you know her? Baldwin, right? Who's like from Spain, but she's really born from like DC. Her name is Hillary. She has like this accent, and she's like, how you say, I don't know, cucumber, and she's from like Washington D.C.
Yeah, cucumber.
Doesn't she realize we have the internet? Ada got off because we didn't.
Yeah, right. They couldn't look at each other and actually corroborate a story, and they're like, "Did you hear that? I don't know if I've heard that. She said it. It has to be true."
Right. How are they going to look at that?
Exactly. But from a young age, we do know that she was encouraged by a stepfather to pursue her artistic interests. And in her youth, she would do a lot of things, like I've said before, poetry. She'd give readings of Shakespeare and dance in local ballet companies in New Orleans, where she spent the majority of her youth. Now, from what I understand, it was her looks that gained her a lot of attention and would be something of her calling card throughout the rest of her life. In these ballets, you'd have lots of people commenting on her striking appearance as a child.
Oh, gosh.
Her skin tone, the color of her hair, etc. She was something to write about, and soon something to be seen. And you know what? I think I'm going to pause the recording here real quick just to show you a picture of her. And then I'll get, this is, every time I hear about this, they're like, oh, she was an absolute beauty. And you look at the picture and you're like, really?
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can find this. Hold on. Okay, so there, you've seen Adah Isaacs Menken. What do you think?
I think she has a bold look.
That is so diplomatic of you.
Yeah, but it's funny, yeah, she looks edgy for the time, too.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also just something about it that she's petite, she's in fairly athletic shape. And if you look at it from a certain angle, you're like, okay, I see what you're saying. But, you're talking about the early days of actual photographs and everything. And, nobody's thinking about things of like, get your right lighting or anything like that.
Good side.
Yeah, it's just, well, she's got kind of a round face and some curly hair. And apparently it's the right color that everybody seems to enjoy.
Yeah. And I guess that she was really confident.
Oh, yeah. That might be, yeah.
That probably was half the battle for her, you know?
Right.
Women probably weren't like that.
Oh, gosh, no. Oh, yeah. So at some point, Adah really gets the acting bug. And outside of her poetry, this was really the major pursuit of her life. She got several roles in plays in the region in New Orleans, generally being somebody who was like in a chorus or the background. But again, her looks really made her stand out, or at least that's how it was reported.
Right.
Which makes me think, like, what did these other women look like? Like, we don't care if you had scurvy and half your teeth fell out. We just need somebody to sit over here next to this table.
Right. Bar was set a little low, maybe.
Maybe. But this is often the way of things in the 18th century dramas that were popular in America. If you were a woman, you were either a villain or a prize to be won, right? There wasn't a lot of depth for women outside of like Shakespearean roles. Okay. So many women actually avoided theater as a pursuit altogether, mainly based on the stigma of women wanting to do anything but be the perfect housewife and mother. Right. Society looked at that and they went, this is a bad, bad thing. The world was a place for men to do stuff in.
Right.
Right. You could go do anything with the right equipment.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, at some point, Adah got into playing breeches roles. Now, as a refresher, breeches roles were for women to play male characters on stage, often as a boy, but they'd be wearing pants that ended at the knees, like they were rolled up or clipped at the knees or something, and they'd have stockings going down to the rest. So you could see the shape of their calves and ankles.
Yeah.
I know. It's like the equivalent of a Vegas showgirl, basically. You see everything that you expect you're seeing, but it's just the calves and ankles, man. That's it.
Wow. It's simple.
It was so simple. Well, I think of like the multitude of things that we have to do right now, and we still find ourselves being bored. It's like
Right.
you look behind me here. I have hundreds of books. I have, you know, uh, two video game systems in the house. We have all these implements that can get us any manner of entertainment or distraction at any time. And you can sit there and doom scroll on your phone forever and just be like, ugh, there's nothing to do.
Right.
I mean, back in this time, one of my favorite podcasts is The Dollop, and they've done episodes on things like walking races, where, where people would just go watch people walk for like 24 to 48 hours at a time. Walk.
Oh. Yeah, there
Yeah.
really was nothing to do.
Uh-huh. There was one where a sack of flour, like the official US sack of flour, went around on trains and people could go see the sack of flour.
Oh.
It was. And so, I mean, on stage, if anybody could get up and do anything, wow.
Right.
Yeah. So here's this woman appearing on stage, their calves and ankles, air quotes, exposed. Now, oftentimes, these breeches roles resulted in massive amounts of positive publicity and frequent viewings, generally by men, so they could see the women on stage in their breeches role.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's actually good. I think it's going to be the focus of my Rocky Horror Picture Show this year because there's so much out there for women to do as far as like embracing your sexuality and sensuality and feeling good about yourself doing it. Like I think the first one I saw was heels classes. Like women are taking these dance classes where they're dancing in, super sexy in heels and stuff, and they come out feeling like just amazing, and they add it to whatever kind of art they're currently doing. I follow this one girl who is like a hoop dancer. She's got the hula hoops and does all kinds of cool stuff. She's moved into like fans and ribbons and everything like that, but then added heels to that. And it just added this whole new element of like, wow, this can be really fun, make me feel awesome, and be kind of tantalizing at the same time. But really, all you're doing is watching a woman dance around in heels.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, my dog is coming over
Oh,
to say hi.
oh, Gnocchi.
Okay, wait, come here.
Oh, there's the Gnocchi.
He
This is like your little familiar. What type of dog is this again?
is well, we thought he was a Chihuahua Yorkie. We did his DNA, and he's a Chihuahua Minpin Poodle.
Oh, my word.
So we call him a Chippin Noodle.
Chippin.
Are you a Chippin Noodle?
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, going back to these breeches roles, it was generally culturally forbidden to a woman to appear on stage anyway. Like, if a woman were ever to appear on stage, we could just assume that she was not good enough for a brothel. I mean, she was just an awful human being because she didn't want to pursue the things that a woman was supposed to pursue.
Right.
I mean, yeah. But if she played a man, apparently that's just fine.
Huh.
Isn't that goofy?
My first role on stage.
That's right.
Michael in Peter Pan. No.
And did you have like the little pajamas with the bottom?
The little footsie pajamas.
Mm-hmm, the bottom that could button out and carry a teddy bear and stuff. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I mean, you're petite. We'll say that. I have a friend in New York who's been on this show. She is not even 5 feet tall, and she gets a lot of stunt work, playing children.
Yeah.
So like
that's a real niche. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a kid in like, I don't know, like a Law and Order SVU gets hit by a car or something like that. And so they call her to be the kid that gets hit. And she just wears like this dumb floppy wig and oversized clothes and stuff. Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah. So Adah really sunk her teeth into this idea of playing breeches roles, getting quite a bit of notoriety for doing so. And the fame that came along with being the main reason that a lot of people would go to see the play she's in, well, that made most reviews just absolutely rave reviews, specifically about her appearance, because it was no secret that she was a woman.
Oh.
So I'm just think about like the interesting questions that brings up for the reader.
Right.
They're like, there's this beautiful woman like with shapely calves and nut brown hair and beautiful skin tone playing this young boy named Wallace. And you can
Right.
come see Wallace.
Really interesting. Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going downtown to see the boy. I really want to see the boy.
It probably ticked a few boxes for people.
I know. Stuff that people aren't asking. Like, are you attracted to men? No. Just when women play men.
Yeah. As little boys. Ugh.
And really, Ada loved the attention she would get. People would wait in droves outside the theater to get a glimpse of her as she left, and perhaps even get to talk to her, which she took the opportunity to do that quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but how cool is that? Like, you actually go out and talk to your fans. I think that's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool. You know, even if it's like we're here to look at your knees down to your ankles, and
Right.
thank you. You've made my life feel like living again.
But she knew that if you didn't have fans, she didn't have a career.
Right, exactly. So she'd go out and, maybe offer her hand to kiss, or, if it was a little kid or something, she might give him a hug or something like that. It's the same as like if you run into a celebrity at like a grocery store or a restaurant these days. You're like, "Hey, can I just get a selfie with you?" And 99 times out of 100, they might say yes, but sometimes, I went to a Comic-Con years ago, and Margot Kidder was there.
Uh-huh.
And she's promoting all of her stuff from Superman and everything. And this was just when cell phones were able to like take selfies.
Uh-huh.
And so I started talking to her for a little bit, and I go, "Man, it would be really awesome if I could get a picture with you." My mom would just go crazy for it. And she goes, "Well, that's going to be $25."
She knows her price. She knows her limit.
I'm like, "Huh, okay."
Did you give her 25 bucks?
Nope. I just turned around and put the phone up to me, and she's over my shoulder, and I just snapped a picture. I'm like, "Hey, Mom, look, there's Margot Kidder. She wouldn't let me take this picture."
My God, that is
Yeah.
crazy.
But then at the same convention, Peter Mayhew was there, who played Chewbacca in the original Star Wars movies. He was the guy in the suit. And I
Yeah.
walk up, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's you. Can I take a picture?" He's like, "Sure, no problem."
Aw.
And I have this big goofy head next to mine. It was great. Oh, anyway. I know that breeches roles are still pretty popular today, even if they're not seen as often. I can think of them most prolifically in British pantomime plays because they're one of the main parts. But in all my years in theater and all my research, I can't really say that there's necessarily been a fetishist bent to them. I don't know, maybe I'm researching in the wrong places, or maybe I'm happy that I'm not researching in the wrong places. But while we're stopped here, please take a moment to get more connected to the show at the Instagram pages for Euripides, Eumenides, or Trident Theatre. You can also just send me a message using the Contact Us form at TridentTheatre.com. But let's get back to Natalie Lander and find out what happens with Ada Isaacs Menken and Mazeppa. Now, this fan base and the gathering and just using that notoriety of being like sexually desirable to her advantage, this led to the dissolution of at least two of her marriages, maybe three. Nope, I think it was three. Alexander Isaac Menken left her after they had moved to New York so she could pursue acting. He was kind of tired of preaching to her about the drinking and smoking, and he was actually kind of he became a pretty avid drinker himself. And eventually he lost his job and became completely dependent on her income as well. But she had a lot of different jobs besides acting. I'll get into it later, but he up and left her because he just couldn't take how much of a woman she was being.
Oh.
And he returned back to his hometown of Cincinnati to take over his father's dry goods business, I guess, or something like that. The allure of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, she was already sleeping around with famous boxer Johnny Heenan, who was also known as the Benicia Boy. He kind of was like the Mike Tyson of his era. He was everywhere. Everybody knew him, and he was really notorious for beating the snot out of his opponents. And turns out Ada and Johnny married soon after Alexander left. They're just
wow.
Okay, all right, fine. That's fine. Now, I should also say that Ada was never really credited for her acting talent. At best, she was reported as so-so.
Interesting.
The reviews would be like, yeah, I mean, she was okay, but look at those gams, you know.
And I guess like a lot of women weren't really doing it, so there wasn't really any competition.
Right. Not people weren't really writing a lot about how other women were doing their performances, unless I suppose there were probably some about like Shakespeare and stuff, you know, when the women would play like the big roles and stuff. But yeah. So while in New York, she didn't really get consistent work as an actor. So she worked between acting jobs by giving public poetry recitals and delivering Shakespearean monologues at like little salons, or, you know, people would have parties and they're like, and now we have somebody to come up and read something special for us. Not to mention, she also wrote for Israelite magazine, really embracing that Jewish heritage and speaking about the plights of the Jewish community. And she would also often be a guest speaker for events on the same topic.
Oh. That's so weird. So who was Jewish? Her mom, I guess?
Well, she married the one guy, and he was Jewish.
Oh.
He was practicing. I wouldn't say he's devout, but I don't think until then she'd ever really had like a spiritual connection in her life. And so when she married him and they started going to temple and stuff, she's like, wow, I'm really embracing this and really getting into it. I mean, it was a very short time after they married that she started being very outspoken on her Jewish beliefs and how the Jewish people were really being persecuted everywhere.
Wow.
So you're like, okay, so not only have you not been a devoutly Jewish all your life, but now you are, and it's a woman telling us this?
Right. She's getting political, I guess.
Yeah. So she was a controversial character, but again, all of this controversy that she would get would just make her more famous and more alluring to people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Johnny was not too impressed with Ada's insistence to be an actor, because that's what she really wanted to do. Apparently, even in his wedding proposal, you know, like right after Alexander left, he begged her to be a good housewife and mother. In the proposal, he's on his knee, ring in hand.
Get this up. Just get up.
I mean, it was like really flowery. Like, I devote myself to you. I will do everything I can to make you happy, as long as ... Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess she had her fingers crossed when she accepted the proposal, and Johnny and Ada were married in September 1859.
Oh my goodness.
Now, sometime after this, Alexander returned to New York trying to fix things up with Ada. But, yeah, sorry, already broken up. She already moved on. He revealed that he'd never actually divorced her. And he thought there was still something worth salvaging. And I think Ada just kind of went, nah.
Oh my God.
And Alexander went home and had the divorce finalized in 1860.
Whoops.
So apparently for this very short amount of time, according to records of when, you know, here's a marriage license that's signed, here's a divorce document that's signed, she was probably married to two guys at the same time for, you know, a little while.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Of course, she would have had no idea because, you know, really, I don't know how divorce law worked at the time, but apparently a man could just walk into the courthouse and go, I want to get rid of this one.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But Ada kept getting roles and odd jobs, much to the displeasure of Johnny, who had turned out to be an abuser who would drink all the time. Now,
I mean, his chosen profession is an abuser.
Yeah, exactly. But he kind of depended on her income to make ends meet. But later that year, even though he was hardly with Ada at all anyway, like he'd spend the night out at bars and carousing and probably having affairs and whatever, He left her to go to a championship fight in London, which he very bloodily won. I guess it was like a 2 hour long fight with 37 rounds, and his opponent was knocked down 20 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we hadn't quite established like the official rules of boxing, or not everybody followed them. So it's just
Right.
like, if one guy dies, one guy dies, and that's how it's going to work out.
Right.
Yeah. So with the purse he won from that, he didn't need Adah's money anymore. So he came back home to New York, signed on the dotted line. They're divorced.
Oh my gosh. He was like, bye.
Yeah, later. But check this out. While he was in London, Adah had been pregnant with their child, which she had while he was gone over there. And then the child died soon after.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So not only is she trying to be this kind of outspoken female celebrity figure and activist in a lot of different things, she's also kind of respected for her poetry, her understanding of Shakespeare and stuff like that. And now she has this incredibly troubled home life where the guy she left her first husband for, she married him, leaves her when she's been carrying his kid, and now the kid's dead.
Ugh.
Ugh. Yeah. All of this personal strife only added to her notoriety and thus her overall allure. It's like we were saying, like the Kardashians earlier.
Yeah, it's like what do they call it? Is Schadenfreude when you're like kind of like fascinated by other people's misery?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. However, all this personal home life stuff made Adah develop a very deep depression and didn't get the gumption to return to the stage until 1861. She just felt that the right part would connect her. Like fate is just going to find her the right role to get back on stage and make her the famous actress she always wanted to be. Mm-hmm. So that's when she got the idea with her manager, John Murdoch. They would get someone to adapt the story of Mazeppa for a non-musical melodrama. Now, melodramas were huge at the time. They were all about good versus evil and virtue triumphing over vice and everything. People ate that story up all the time. Well, it turns out that somewhere in her life, Adah became adept at horseback riding.
Oh.
And having played men in all of her breeches roles, she would be very comfortable playing the character in the main character in Mazeppa. But in this one, the character was known as the Tartar Youth. Actually, this is another one of the bones of contention about the origins of Mazeppa. Apparently, he didn't have the expected facial shape of someone from Russia or Ukraine. So when he was asked about his origins, he's like, no, that's where I'm from. And they'd all just kind of assume he's from the kingdom of Tartary, which at times, like it stretched from, it was just south of Russia, like from Afghanistan and Kazakhstan all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So they're just like, you don't look like you're from around here.
Interesting.
Yeah. And if he's from like the south of Asia, I'm like, yeah, probably not. Probably not. Anyway. So Adah's play was written called Mazeppa, or The Wild Horse of Tartary.
Oh. Wow.
Now, this production first premiered at the Green Street Theatre in Albany, New York on June 3rd, 1861, something of like an out-of-town tryout. Mm-hmm. It was highly publicized that Adah would be the star, which was quite scandalous because a lot of people knew the story of Mazeppa and knew that the main character would have to be stripped nude by the end and tied to a horse to be sent off to fate.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So most adaptations of the stage basically had a prop horse, and they'd put like a dummy or a mannequin on top of it for the ending scene, and it would just kind of be like slowly pulled off stage as the horse is running off.
Right.
And that didn't really excite people.
Yeah, they want to see the real thing.
It was when it was publicized that there would be a real horse on stage, and that Adah Isaacs Menken, this super hot celebrity that everybody talks about how sexy she is, that she'd be playing Mazeppa. The house in Albany sold out immediately.
Oh my gosh. Was she really nude?
We're going to get into that.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, honestly, but you're not wrong. I mean, this is one of the most interesting parts in this story. Like in 1861, it was literally illegal for a woman to appear nude on stage at all. I mean, you might have heard about this. I think it was mainly in Europe where this started up, where they'd have like living galleries. A woman could appear in the nude on stage if she didn't move.
Oh, like gyrate or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't move your body at all. So the women would just stand, they'd stand there like a statue, completely naked, and people would just sit there and watch. Like music might be playing or something, somebody might recite a poem or something, but you're there to see the naked ladies.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But a man could appear nude on stage, apparently. That was okay.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Weird.
So the line was blurred somewhat when a woman playing a man could be nude on stage because the character was not a woman. Therefore, it was not the character debauching or besmirching herself. The woman playing the man was just playing a part.
Oh. Right. That makes so much sense.
I love how people like they work so hard to just make something logical so they can, like appease some sense of propriety or something like that.
Exactly.
Like, we don't want to see no naked women on stage. We'd rather see naked men. And that's okay. Because if a woman's up there, she's in a deal with the devil. That's all it could be.
Right. That's so bizarre.
But a man's just acting.
Right.
Now, it remains somewhat dubious as to whether or not Adah was actually nude for this climactic scene. Most reports state that she wore a nude-colored, skin-tight bodysuit underneath her costume and removed the costume just for the horse riding scene, right?
Okay.
So, and then they'd also kind of dim the lights too, so you couldn't really see it, but you knew she was, air quotes, naked on stage. And sometimes I think as the play got more popular, she might have rolled the top down so it was just her legs that were covered.
Uh-huh. And she's playing a man.
She's playing a man. Here, I think I can send you let me try this. Where is this? Okay. I'm going to send you a picture of her as Mazeppa.
Oh, okay.
Let me find it here. Here we go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so if you look closely, you can see under, like, she's wearing kind of a tunic. She's got a shield and a little sword, but underneath the tunic, you can see, like, at her shoulders, there's like a seam that kind of looks like it might be, like a bodysuit or something like that. So I can see it, but a lot of the reports were like, no, I'm pretty sure she was naked. I'm pretty sure. I think I saw a nipple. I'm pretty sure I saw a nipple.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, I can see that little nude bodysuit there.
Uh-huh, right.
Oh, I have a follow-up to Miss Mazeppa.
Oh, okay.
The stripper in Gypsy has a little shield like that. In addition to a trumpet.
This is absolutely, yes. Yeah. I'm going to say that's absolutely what's going on there. I mean, they're like, it's a funny name. I thought I'd call her that. No, yeah. So by the end of the play, this horse that Adah's riding, I think they called her Big Bess or Black Bess or something like that. The horse was trained to carry Adah up some steps that were made up scenically to look like a mountain. And then the horse was going to walk off stage, which represented the horse jumping off the cliff.
Right. Wow. I can't believe a horse.
Oh my God. As you get into the like most of the 19th century, like the stuff that they did to prove to you that this was a real thing. Like by the end of the century, there were even cabins that were built on stage with actual wood burning stoves, and people wouldn't believe the story was real unless there was actually wood burning in that stove.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, it was obnoxious.
Yeah.
So yeah, having a horse there, oh man, they're telling the story right now. I mean, nobody cared about the rest of the story. They just wanted to see the woman naked on the horse.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. So the reception to the play was phenomenal. I mean, Ada became an overnight success, and the talk was like, this has got to go to New York City right now. Like, they're like, oh, we just got to do this. Yeah, I mean, it's playing well here. We got to go to the big city, which they did, and her fame began to spread on a nightly basis. So every single night she's doing this, people are writing about her, saying how beautiful she is. They're talking about the climax of the play. Oh my God, it was so thrilling when she was strapped to the horse. Sometimes it was part of my research. I heard that she actually walked the horse down the aisle of the theater from the back of the house.
Oh my God.
Like totally. So you're in the house, and it makes me think of like the Lion King, where like the big rhino and the elephant come down the aisle, and you're like, oh my God, it's walking right beside me. No, this is an actual horse.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Now, of course, this performance and the joy it brought by maybe seeing a naked lady on stage, even more mystery to that. Oh, wow, did I just see that? And the lights, the lights dimmed and everything. That gave people a lot of hope, honestly, in a truly tense moment in American history. We're talking summer 1861, summer 1861, and the Civil War had just started. So people all over the country were just like, okay, now we're in wartime. And this naked lady on a horse just made them kind of forget about it for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a good thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely had something else to talk about besides what's going on with the war today.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Here's a little cutting from an editorial in the New York Post about Ada and her performance in Mazeppa. And not really even her performance. This is just the editorial. Quote, "It was a pleasure and a duty to see her in Mazeppa. Miss Menken places the male in her audience at a disadvantage. She is so lovely that she numbs the mind and the senses reel."
Wow. What a review.
I mean, at some point, you're not even caring about the story anymore. You're just like, look at that.
Yeah.
I was telling Andrew about this, and the first thing she said was like, that must have been quite a rack.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, no, I actually don't think so. I think it was just, look, it's actually naked lady.
Right.
So, here's some fun facts. At the height of her fame in New York, she was being paid $500 a week. In 1861,
wow. That's a lot.
This is the equivalent of $18,355 a week in today's money as we record this in September 2025.
Wow.
I mean, that is so much money.
That's crazy.
Yep. And the fame took her on tour. She began touring the show all up and down the Northeast. And this is like what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. Like, her fame's just spreading everywhere. People in Omaha are talking about the famous naked lady on stage in New York. And they're like, boy, I hope I get to see that someday. So she took it on the road. So she takes it all over the Northeast, Trenton, New Jersey, Baltimore, Boston. And some of this tour was actually kind of difficult, because most Northerners at least knew where she was raised. New Orleans, it's in the South. Oh, they're our enemy now. All this attention just made her fame grow even more.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, like, how many times have you heard like this Kardashian has been arrested for this, or this, they're doing this, and you're just like, oh, that's disgusting. Tell me more.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. She married a third time, which kind of had the same effect. The fame and everything led to this thing dying. Soon, in 1863, an offer came from a theater manager in San Francisco. He would pay Ada $1,500 a week to perform a 12-week run at his theater, which would be $55,065. So a total 12-week run in our money today would earn Ada $660,780. Wow. How do you say no to this?
Right. That
No,
sounds
the
great.
nude thing is really behind me now. No. This would make her the most highly paid female stage actor of the day.
Right.
Well, duh.
Yeah. Or maybe ever.
Yeah. So she takes the offer, and because at the time there was not like a complete transcontinental railroad, the easiest course of action would be to sail from New York to San Francisco on a very popular route that Ada chose herself, called the Atlantic Panama Pacific route. Now, remember, we don't have a Panama Canal in 1863, so for the size of vessel that she had, they could float mainly inland, through the south of the country, and float mainly inland in Panama.
Hmm.
And then part of the journey actually had to be overland. So they're like touting all of the stuff for her wardrobe and everything. Her husband's with her, her entourage, and they're going through the Panamanian jungle, like fighting mosquitoes and other insects and everything.
Wow.
So, yeah, put a little bit of strain on the new marriage.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Imagining so. And
How long did it take them to get there?
how long did it take him? I don't know. I think a few months.
Yikes. Oh my
I would
God.
imagine. Maybe
Yeah.
1 or 2. Yeah. Anyway, this trip added like an absolute tension to the new marriage, which never really recovered. Couple divorced in 1865. Anyway, they were able to finish a trip and arrived in San Francisco shortly after. Ada had a really adept skill at being kept in the public eye, and she had a talent for marketing. The story of her performance in Mazeppa was already like really well documented. Everybody in the country's talking about it. So a whole throng of people showed up at the docks when her ship landed to greet her, right? Um, I I remember this so well. Like I never went to see it, but it's been documented here very recently. In my little hometown in Sheridan, Wyoming, in 1986, some girl won an MTV contest, and Prince came here to screen his movie Under the Cherry Moon here as the world premiere.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And this town just did a big news story about it because they just realized it's almost the 40th anniversary of when Prince came to Sheridan, Wyoming.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And I mean, my younger son is now working at the same movie theater where it was screened, and I just remember seeing the pictures of that building, which I've been to so many times because I got to pick him up and drop him off. Like the streets were blocked off. There were hundreds of people. They all just wanted to get a glimpse of
Yeah.
Prince as he walked from his limo with the girl who won the contest into the building, and then he flew out that night.
Did you go? Were you
No,
there?
I wasn't there. I just remember hearing about it, and I'm like, I'm not into Prince. I didn't really get into Prince until I was a lot older.
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so all these people showed up to greet Ada, but this is also probably not just to the fact that everybody's talking about it, but one thing that she would do as she was touring around was she'd send out flyers and posters and newspaper ads, all with her picture on it, just like of her face or maybe her in costume or something. But this is what everybody's talking about. Here's the sexy lady that's coming to town.
Yeah.
And so
That's smart.
she had that sent out specifically. Yeah, like she's a knockout. Everybody's got to go.
Yeah.
The theater manager even hosted like this huge dinner gala event and reception before the show premiered. But it didn't matter because the entire run of the play had already sold out before it began. All 12 weeks.
Wow.
And it was a crazy theater town at that time too, because it's post Gold Rush. So the city's really building a lot of infrastructure, and it's got this really interesting mix of, very, white collar and blue collar. So, a lot of the upper class folks are wanting to spend their money, and there are tons of theaters out there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think we can both assume that the reaction to the production would have been positive, but the reaction to the play's climax became the absolute talk of the town, and the stuff apparently of hopes and dreams. Quote, "It seems every other prominent man in San Francisco wished to meet Ada, and rumors spread about affairs with local millionaires."
Oh.
Of course.
Of
Yeah.
course.
The fact that her husband left during all of this
Mhm.
madness to return to New York did even more favors for her scandal and publicity.
Wow. Yeah, she was hot.
Oh yeah, her husband left her, and now she's sleeping with all these millionaires in San Francisco. My God, let's go see that play.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I mean, I guess this just culturally changed San Francisco for a little bit because men were going bananas. Here's another quote about Ada's time in San Francisco.
Okay.
Wherever you went, to whomever you talked, the two favorite topics of conversation in San Francisco, topics of equal importance, were the progress of the Civil War and the success of Ada Isaacs Menken.
Wow.
Equal,
Amazing. Equal.
but yeah, but guys were just like, oh my God, it was the best play I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, and I guess there were plenty of young, single, wealthy men in San Francisco, and
Yeah.
they all got tickets to go see it multiple times. Yeah.
And she was financially independent too.
Oh
So
my God. Like she didn't need any of this. It was just candy for her to have all these guys just falling all over her.
that's amazing. Good for
Is-
her.
Yeah, right? So after the run concluded, Ada made the trip back to New York, but this time across the country. So she's like, well, I'll just take some time. But, things are still tense. Civil War is still going on. She's Southern. People made that connection. She actually had made a few secessionist remarks in public, and
Uh-oh.
people were like, what? She was able to kind of get over those scandals pretty quickly. Anyway, however, traveling across country, she stopped in Virginia City, which was a booming silver town at the time, very much like San Francisco would have been during the gold rush, full of newly wealthy but fairly unsophisticated young single men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is your absolute demographic.
I was like, I'm in.
Yeah. She performed the play there, and before she left, she was given utterly outlandish gifts, including, I think one guy gave her this huge chunk of precious metals. I can't remember if it was gold or silver, but it was like an obnoxiously large piece of metal that they're just like, I think you should have this. I think they named things like fire stations after her, and
Oh.
gave her the key to the
Crazy.
city.
I've never heard of her. Like,
I think after a while, people were like, she got famous just because she was naked. All right, let's not talk
right.
about this.
Oh, yeah.
It's estimated that all in all, she got something like $100,000 in gifts before she left Virginia City.
Wow. We got to take a page out of her book.
I know, Natalie. I got an idea for you. It's going to require a skin tight lycra bodysuit. Okay, go.
Yeah, I'm in.
No problem. Now, she traveled back east in 1864. It became evident that people really didn't want to go to the theater too badly. The war is getting really tense. It's reaching its climax. So Ada took the show to Europe, where she thrived even more.
I bet.
But they treated her with a little bit more respect. They're just like, this is a fun show, and we do enjoy the boobies. Thank you.
Yeah. They are more sophisticated.
A little bit. Yeah. And for the rest of her life, Ada would bounce back and forth between Europe and America, often trying to recreate the success of Mazeppa by playing breeches roles, which she might get to show a little skin, but nothing had the same effect. And she'd often just return to that role in Mazeppa. Why not? Bring it back.
Yeah,
Bring it
exactly.
back.
Revive it.
Yeah. I mean, you see all of these people that are in cult shows that just go to these conventions all the time, and they're like, yes, I did play this one part this one time, and thanks for showing up. I've been signing papers like this for 60 years now. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just awesome. Ada died in Paris at the age of 33.
No.
33.
All this before she was 30, 40? I mean,
Yeah.
wow. What a
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Enterprising young woman. And she probably died of tuberculosis. Famous writers were her favorite connections to make, and she's known for becoming friends with Charles Dickens, like I said earlier, but also Walt Whitman, Mark Twain, and Alexander Dumas.
what a life.
And that's the story of Ada Isaacs Menken in Mazeppa.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I can't believe she was so young when she died. I mean, I guess at that time,
Yeah.
that was more normal, but wow.
Yeah. But there's a part of me that just kind of gets the ick thinking like everybody's so excited about seeing her topless and she's just eating it up. But at the same time, It's like, if that's what people are buying,
you got to sell it.
You got to sell it.
You think of someone like Sydney Sweeney, she's really capitalizing on her curves in a lot of ways. And she's going for it.
Well, and you know what? Let's use that as an example. I mean, this whole jeans ad she just did got a lot of notoriety. I mean, I looked at it and Andrew and I both looked at it and I went, boy, what a dumb decision by American Eagle. But my God, what a smart decision by her, because now all that's doing is making every dumb fanboy go see everything she's ever going to do ever.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, she's got this movie coming up where she's, a female boxer and she apparently really changed her shape and stuff for it, become a lot more muscular. And people were like, I don't know about that, but they're going to go see it.
You're like, but her boobs are still big.
And they might pop out of her shirt at some time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is really interesting. I feel like there are a lot of female archetype of actors in our day that are sort of like our Ada here,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it, like I can think of a couple right away who, crossed from one thing to, acting and stuff. One of them is Madonna.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking of Madonna when you were describing how she related with her hands and.
Mm-hmm. Another is Beyonce.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this picture of Beyonce arriving in Paris in 2003 for a movie premiere or something like that. And she was not entirely the curvy mama that she is now. Right. Yeah. And in the middle of all that, she marries a hip hop mogul who may or may not have cheated on her, which she wrote an album about.
Yeah. Right.
And her career has done just outstanding.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like the intrigue that sells everything.
Yep.
Not much has changed since 1865 or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think it just goes to show, can we just stop pretending that we're not interested in this?
Right.
Can we stop trying to go on the side of propriety and maybe just kind of embrace it as just something? And then at that point, if you can just say, do you want to go see Ada? No, I'm not really into that.
Right.
That's fine. It's like somebody getting tickets to a country music concert and then inviting me. I'm like, not my thing. Thanks for thinking of me, but that's okay.
Right. And now I feel like we have more of the ability to do that because there's more options. But then there was just one thing. So everyone saw it.
Do you want to go see The Naked Lady? I really don't, but I will.
But there's no other theater right now. Yeah.
There's no other theater, and I have no excitement at all about potentially seeing a woman naked on stage. But she's really a man.
Right.
And I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
That is so funny. What a cool. Well, I'm glad I learned that story.
Yeah, there we go. So I think, if anything else, you might have some new ideas about your career trajectory.
I think so, except I don't think my ankles are as nice as hers.
Oh, you're probably, I can't see them right now. We're on Zoom, so I only see down to your shoulders, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know. The calves and ankles. I need to work on that. I need to work on those, and then maybe I'll have that. But I'd like to get paid, a minimum $18,000 a week.
A minimum? Yeah. Let me ask my agent.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm making what Ada made in actual dollars.
In actual dollars.
$500 a week. I'm like, oh, that sounds great.
That's amazing. Yeah. All right. It seems to be true what they say, sex sells. even if it's not really sex, but rather sex attached to a medieval Ukrainian folktale based on actual events. And I wonder just who Adah Isaacs Menken would be today. All I know is she'd probably be captivating us all with whatever she did. She seemed to have her finger on a very particular pulse. I'd like to thank Natalie Lander for her contributions to this episode, and I'm sure to have her on again. But for now, I'll sign off. This has been another episode of Euripides Eumenides, a theater history podcast. I have been your host, Aaron Odom. Another episode will be in your ears in a fortnight, and I will see you at intermission.